There are clearly, things to be concerned about, and the bull market has been running for a long time. But fundamentally, I think, stock markets and share prices are driven by earnings.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Personal Investor Podcast. I'm Ed Monk, and I'm joined today by Fidelity Investment Director Tom Stevenson to take the temperature of markets right now, and in particular to ask why they continue to defy the more bearish predictions that you'll find out there. Consider, for example, that the US market is up 10% this year and yet is considered better value now than at the start of 2026. We're going to explain why today. Before that, let me remind you that if you find this video useful or interesting, to please subscribe to the channel, give us a like and leave a comment if you want to do that. And once you've subscribed, remember to hit that bell icon at the top of the page to turn on notifications to make sure that you get new content as soon as it is released. That all said, Tom, welcome along. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Ed.
I mentioned there in my intro that there are more than a few bearish voices out there right now. Do you recognize that? And what do you think is driving the pessimism that is out there?
Yes, I mean, this week in particular, there's been more of a bearish tone, as you say. I think what's going on is there are a few themes playing out at the moment, and they're related, and they sort of come together because of the context of this week. So let me explain. I think the first issue that people are concerned about is the geopolitical risk. What's going on in the Gulf. Obviously, tensions have ratcheted up over the last few days. That's had an impact on the oil price, and that has had a knock-on impact on expectations about inflation. And of course, the knock-on from that is the impact of inflation on interest rates, particularly in the US. So that's the geopolitical angle. At the same time, we've got concerns about this whole AI growth story. There's something of a rotation happening away from the original winners from the sort of AI story into other parts of the market. Those two things are happening, and they're, of course, related because rising interest rates, the consequence of the oil price rise, the consequence of the geopolitical risk, rising interest rates is very bad news for high growth stocks, such as the AI stocks that are part of that other thing to worry about. So you've got those two things, they're related, and they're both happening at the same time. Now, why this week in particular? Well, we're right at the beginning of earnings season. Literally starts this week with all the banks, but more importantly, there's going to be a big focus on the AI related stocks during this earnings season, because I think what investors are beginning to ask themselves is, are we going to get the returns that justify the massive expenditure that's going into AI? I think earnings season is going to be absolutely crucial to that. And also this week, we've got a real focus on inflation and interest rates that I mentioned. We're recording on Tuesday. Later on today, we've got inflation figures out of the US. And today and tomorrow, the new chairman of the Federal Reserve, Kevin Warsh, is appearing before Congress. It's a regular scheduled thing, happens twice a year. But because he's new in the job, there's a lot of focus on what he's going to say about how he's going to run the Fed, what he's going to say about inflation and interest rates. So there's an awful lot going on at the moment, and it's just creating a bit of nervousness in the markets.
Yeah, interestingly, before we move on, the new Fed chairman said some interesting things, apparently reporting that he actually wants to see less communications with the market, less sort of information to the market, which feels slightly sort of maybe a backward step. It's what do you make of that?
Investors have got used to having very clear messaging, what they call forward guidance from the Federal Reserve about what they're thinking about interest rates, where they think they're going to be heading. So I think going forward, if he's less inclined to do that, and the reason why he's less inclined to do that is because it actually increases the influence or the power of the Fed to alter the direction of the economy if people don't really know what he's doing. So he can make a change and it has more of an impact. But from an investor's perspective, it actually creates a situation where you might have more volatility, more unpredictability in the markets.
Yeah, all very interesting. That's not what we're here to talk about, Tom. So to get us back on track, you've mentioned some of the sort of near-term points of uncertainty, reasons why markets are sort of moving a bit in the short term. Over a slightly longer period, though, they're doing very well, aren't they? Near all-time highs. We're sitting on double-digit gains, I think, at a global level, global stock market level this year. So what will that be? 4 years of double-digit gains. And you yourself would count yourself among the optimists, I would say, based on your latest investment outlook, the latest edition of which is out now. What did you say in the outlook about your view on stock markets?
Yeah, so I think I'd characterize it as sort of cautious optimism, because there are clearly things to be concerned about, and the bull market has been running for a long time. I mean, you mentioned double-digit gains for the last 4 years, and that sits within a much longer bull market that arguably has been going on since the financial crisis. But fundamentally, I think stock markets and share prices are driven by earnings, and I mentioned that we're at the beginning of earnings season. The expectations for earnings growth at the moment are even stronger than they were 3 months ago. Not just double digits, but we're looking at earnings growth of maybe 20% or more at the moment. And very often the earnings that's actually delivered is in excess of expectations at the beginning of earnings season. So we've got a really strong earnings backdrop to the market. And that, I think, is helping to justify the level of the market and the valuations of the market that we're seeing at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's very important context. And actually, we're going to bring something up on screen now that gives us a bit more context of this question. If you're listening to us and you can't see the pictures, we're going to describe what we're talking about. Okay. You'll get the drift if you're just listening to this. This is a chart showing valuations of various stock markets around the world. I'll throw this over to you, Tom. What does it, broadly speaking, show us?
So what this chart shows is it shows the range of valuations. It shows the current valuation, where stock markets are at the moment, in terms of the multiple of average multiple of earnings represented by the share price, average share price. So that's the sort of the PE ratio, it's sometimes called. It's a standard measure of the basically the price that you're paying to participate in the stock market.
Yeah, and the numbers you can see on screen are those PE ratios. There's other information here, basically the sort of where the range of those valuations have been in the past over a 20-year period.
Yeah, it's past 20 years. So you can see that the orange dots there is the current valuation, and you can see where that stands in relation to the last 20 years. So, in some cases, it's right at the top of the range.
Indeed.
So, so if you look at the US, it is as expensive as it has been over the last 20 years. But I'd say what I take away from this chart is that there's a big variation in valuations
Indeed.
around the world, and that those high valuations, which are true of the US, and this is partly to do with this technology and AI story that we've been talking about. That's not true in many other markets where shares sit within the middle of the range that they've been in over the last 20 years. So they're not expensive, really. In many parts of the world.
Yeah, and I look at a chart like this and you'd think at the first glance, well, you would think that this is actually adding to the bearish case because valuations are very, very high. That is part of the bearish case, isn't it? But I went back and looked at the same chart that you published in a preceding investment outlook, the one at the start of the year. It looked broadly similar, but actually, crucially, a lot of the valuations back then, 6 months ago, were higher than they are now. And so to put that another way, we've had, say, 10% gains in global stock markets, and yet valuations have fallen slightly. So the 21.3 figure that you can see for forward earnings, let's talk about that in a second, for forward earnings that we now have, that was about 22.3% at the start of the year. So something's happened on the other side of the equation for this.
Yeah. So the mechanism here is simple. I mean, we're talking about the relationship between the price and the earnings. So, if you go back to your GCSE maths, you will know that, if you increase the denominator, which is the earnings here, then the ratio will actually fall. So this is all to do with what we were talking about, the earnings season, the expectations for strong growth in earnings. As earnings have risen, over the last couple of quarters, but longer than that, earnings have been rising steadily for a long time. As earnings have risen, that ratio has been kept in check, and that's really, really important because when bull markets come to an end, there are a number of things that normally kill a bull market. One of them is excessive valuations, and I think that the rising earnings have ensured that valuations have never got to the excessive levels that they have got to at previous peaks in the market.
Yeah, and a word on those forward earnings. So these calculations are based on what are forecasted to be the earnings over the next year. You spoke about these very, very punchy forecasts for earnings, approaching 20% growth in earnings. Tell us a bit about these forecasts, because they often are exceeded by what actually comes through in terms of earnings. It's almost the pattern that we're used to. But presumably, as they get more and more stretching these targets, that gets harder to achieve.
Yes, I mean, what tends to happen is that companies sort of guide analysts towards an understanding of what earnings will be, and company managements are not stupid. They know that if they can
Under promise, over deliver.
Exactly right. Yeah. So if they can exceed what people expect, then the share price will go up. So that tends to be what happens. Yeah. But as you say, as expectations get higher and higher, it becomes more and more difficult to exceed those expectations. And I think that that is one of the risks of the market at the moment, that where we are with expectations of 20% plus earnings growth year on year in the current quarter, it's going to be very difficult for companies to beat that.
Yeah, and you've mentioned actually, and we'll finish on this, Tom, we're entering earnings season now. The banks will be among the first to do that. What's more specifically the expectation around earnings generally this time around?
Well, the expectation is that it's going to be another period of strong growth. So if you go back 3 months ago, we started the season with an expectation that earnings would grow by 14%. They actually came in roughly twice that. Wow. So there was a big beat of expectations. This time we're looking at, I think 23% is the target growth, so much higher. So it's already baked in. The expectation is already baked in. So I think that makes it a very interesting earnings season, because I think people are going to be watching very closely to see the extent to which companies can exceed those expectations.
Okay, well, that is about as much time as we have, Tom, so we'll leave it there. I will just remind you all that if you found this useful or interesting, to please subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell icon to get notified as soon as new content is released. Give us a like or share the episodes. It really does help other people find what we're doing here. That all said, Tom, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks, Ed.